All right, episode 4, episode 4 of the Xevi Had a Problem podcast. Welcome. First things first, the person over here coughing is my sister / producer Menda. Shout out my sister / producer Menda. And shout out to all of you guys, man. We just hit 1 million on YouTube. Woo! We just hit 1 million on YouTube, man. It really is thanks to y'all. Thank y'all so much. I really do appreciate each and every single one of you guys that hit that subscribe button. Because you could subscribe to anybody, but you chose to bet on us. So shout out to you guys for that.
They bet on you.
Well, yeah, but you in it now too. So they bet on us. We're a team. It's a community effort. We're making a dope community. So shout out to y'all for being a part of it.
Yeah, and the amazing comments. I don't think I've ever seen such supportive.
That's a big part for me. It's those comments, right?
Yeah, everyone's so just so supportive. Like I read all the comments. I'm like, wow, like it's such a positive and we want
community. To keep that. Yeah, we want to keep that built for sure.
Amazing. For
sure. And the thing is, I'm usually not too crazy about milestones. I'm not as graduating high school. I'm like, okay, cool. Graduating college. I'm like, okay, cool.
He's frustratingly humble.
Yeah, 100,000. I mean, I feel like I'm always thinking too much of the future, maybe in general, but I don't know. Something hit different about this one. I think it was because of the journey we've been through this past, I think it's been like a year since we really started stuff, but this journey we've been through, seeing all those comments again, seeing all those kind comments back to back, it makes me feel like each and every one of that million, well, we're over 1 million now, like 1,007,000 around, each and every single one of those people is a person that makes those kind comments. You feel what I'm saying? So like each one of those people is a kind person that enjoys the video, that loves the video. So I really do mean it, man, when I say really thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. Seriously.
Wow. I've never heard you sound emotional like this.
You call this emotional? Is this emotional for me? Oh, man, I got issues, don't I?
You never actually accept congratulations and all that type of stuff.
Well, so. I mean, it's not that I don't accept it. I feel like it's more like cool. I don't know what else to say. Cool. It's like a happy birthday. You know what I'm saying? When people say happy birthday, you're like, okay, cool. Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. This one hit. I felt like it was like a whole community thing. Like we did it. You feel me? That's probably why it kind of hit me a little more. It felt like we did it, y'all. Because everybody along the journey, people hitting me up saying, hey, we 5,000 away. We 4,000 away. Friends hitting me up, so it felt more like community. Anyway,
yeah, it's really sweet. I love your community. Everyone is so kind.
Dope. But yeah, I mean, let's get to what y'all came for, man. Let's get to what y'all came for. Let's get to the good stuff. And we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about that Shannon Sharpe boy. That Shannon Sharpe boy.
Grandpa Shannon.
Ooh, big Unc Shannon. Now, for those of you that don't know, Shannon Sharpe has been accused of doing something absolutely terrible to a woman. Now, I cover the full thing in detail in a video I just released recently, but just a quick little summary. Again, Shannon Sharpe accused of doing something terrible to a woman. That woman decided to sue him for $50 million. And that woman's lawyer, the woman, we're going to call her G. Shannon Sharpe actually named the woman, but we're going to call her G. G's lawyer is named Tony Busby. He's important to the story as well. Tony Busby was just in a legal battle with Jay-Z and Diddy for similar things. Now, Tony Busby withdrew his case against Diddy and Jay-Z because it wasn't looking like he was going to win. So now Tony Busby links up with G, and they're saying, Shannon did this, Shannon did that. 50 million lawsuit, okay? Shannon Sharpe, Tony, and G had a conversation before things got to the media, before things came to light. Apparently, allegedly, okay? Allegedly, they had a conversation. Shannon Sharpe says, look, I'm finna give y'all 10 milli. Y'all just keep this on the D-low. Now, some people may think this is an admission of guilt just because of how much money it is. But others say, okay, this whole thing is gonna ruin his career. Whether it's true, whether it's not. I wouldn't say ruin. It's gonna hit his career, no matter what, right? You'd rather this not be shown out to light, let's say. Okay, so Shannon says, okay, 10 million. 10 million. And they said, nah, we want that 50 ball. We want 50 milli. Now, I should note that Shannon Sharpe just got a deal for $100 million. Was it like a podcast? It was his podcast network, right, Amanda? Can you check that for me? His podcast network, he got a deal for $100 million from that. So that's probably where that big price tag, that big $50 million lawsuit price tag came from. They probably said, oh, Shannon, good for it. Shannon got it. We want that 50 million, okay?
They're in agreement or they're working on an agreement for his podcast deal.
For his podcast deal, okay. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Shannon Sharpe podcast network makes a lot of cash, makes a grip. So they say, yeah, we want that 50. Now, that being said, what I want to talk more so about is the name of the game. Okay, what you got to do nowadays to win a case. You have to win the battle of public opinion in lawsuits and situations like this, meaning you have to convince the public of your guilt or your innocence, okay? And it'll make more sense as we go on. So basically, Shannon Sharpe, again, not wanting this to come to light, tells you, again, it does not matter, guilty or innocent, this is a bad look. This is gonna affect his dollars a little bit, okay? Now, the more guilty you think Shannon Sharpe is, the more his dollars get hit. The less guilty you think he is, the less his dollars get hit, right? So now it's a tug of war battle. So now Tony Busby, G come out and say, oh, by the way, there was a 30-year age gap, okay?
36-year age gap.
30, God, 36? Oh, they said around 30. They meant 36. Hey, let's do it. Look, what they say, round up in math, 36. I'm going to say 40-year age gap. We got to round up. Stop playing.
Yeah, he's 56 and she's 21, but she was 19 when they met.
Ooh, so man. Okay, so let's not be a little slow here. Let's double check that math though real quick. So 21 and 56. Let me do the calculations. That's 35?
Well, because
birthdays and all that.
She's turning 21.
So God, I hate the birthday thing. Okay, let's just say 35 is still rounded up anyway. We calling her 40. 40-year age gap. All right. So they said, look, Tony and G said, look, I just thought y'all should know there's a 40-year age gap. Just thought y'all should know. Now, again, that's that battle of public opinion. So many people are saying at this point, they're saying, look, Shannon, whether he did it, whether he not, damn, that's a big age gap. That's a little wild.
It's weird.
It's weird. And to go even further, Tony and G, they release an audio tape. They release an audio tape of a conversation between G and Shannon Sharpe. And you see the weirdness. You just can't help but see, because 19 years old is young. See, I don't know the age of the folks watching this, but when you speak to someone who's 19, if you probably past 22, 23, when you speak to someone who's 19, you can instantly hear that difference. You don't gotta see the person face to face. If I get a phone call from somebody who's 19, I know they're 19. It's the way they speak. It's the things they talk about. She's telling Shannon Sharpe, hey, Shannon, you made me feel bad. You made me.
I don't want to get in trouble. It was just
exactly. It was something like that, yeah. And the thing is, people were saying, "Oh, Shannon have a full-on normal conversation." That's what kind of. If you listen to the audio tape, you hear because when you talk to somebody super young, you talk to them in a certain way. You talk to them like they're young. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't do that. Maybe you're on that Shannon level, but but
if there's enough of an age gap,
yeah, I feel like you instantly get that. You talk to them like they are younger than you.
Yeah.
But Shannon talking to her like they equals. You know what I'm saying? So he talking to her like they talking. He's saying, don't I don't like when you use those words. I'm finna choke you, this and that. And she please don't choke me, Shannon. And he you seen that clip? that little stupid meme where the dude's I bet you. Or that lady I bet you. Bro, if you don't know what that is.
It's a TikTok.
There's a little TikTok meme that.
Can I play it?
Yeah, you can play it. We'll play it. Aww. Oh God, that's twinning them.
Wait,
that's
why?
Twinning them. No, listen.
Just play that.
That's basically. I'm not gonna play the audio between G and Shannon, but that's twinning them right there. That's basically how, if you can imagine that, that's how the audio sounded. It was just a little off. So, Shannon comes out and says, oh, by the way, court of public opinion, right? He said, okay, by the way, they can say all this and that about me, but her name's, I was about to say her name accidentally, but he says her name. I don't think you're supposed to do that. She filed this lawsuit anonymously, but he said, no, this is her. And she's a model of a certain kind, an OF model, basically trying to hit at her credibility a little bit. Now, to take things further, Shannon decides to release his text between himself and G. And these texts is wilder than the West, bro. These are some
wilder than the West.
Wild texts. You don't get it. Put it on the t-shirt though. Stop playing.
No, don't.
Put it on a t-shirt. Yeah, we gonna sell that. Yeah. So these texts is wild. I'm telling you. He's talking about something. I can't even repeat most of these texts that he's sending, but really he's sending them to show that their relationship was consensual, and he's also trying to explain that the nature of their relationship was a little intense.
There was some race play in there.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know,
specifically, yeah.
The girl who's accusing him she's white. So yeah, it was some strange dynamics talking about, give me a big black baby, and
they was on some other stuff. They was on some other stuff.
I don't know about the race play. It was a lot.
She talking about some $25K for each cheek. You know what Shannon said? Yeah, that boy into that boy freaky. I'm not gonna lie, that boy wilding. Like,
what is going on at your big age?
Yeah, he's trying, and it's embarrassing to show, but I think he believes the fallout from the text is just, it's better than being labeled as what he's being labeled as, So he's saying, on the other hand, too, like, look, I paid her. You could see that I may have paid her for certain things. Maybe she not Mother Teresa. All right, maybe y'all shouldn't be on her side. That's basically what all of that is alluding to.
Strategy is old as time.
Yeah, so strategy is old as time. Just fighting against each other, just making this person look bad, making the other person look bad. It really affects a jury and affects the court of public opinion as well. Now, he also said something else, and here's where it starts to get wicked. For those of you that don't know, I make videos, and that's one of the taglines in there. Here's where it starts to get wicked. Listen, Shannon also says, by the way, Tony and G, they finna release a tape about me, and it's finna be wild. Now, to preface this, for Shannon to jump in front of this and say they're gonna release a tape of me, the tape is about to be dastardly. He's saying, no, it's about to be insane. He said, they finna release a tape of me, just a heads up, y'all. It's like trying to make fun of yourself before you get made fun of, He's saying, but in that, they gonna release a 30-second tape. They're going to release a 30-second tape. Some of you may be wondering how he knows all this. Well, remember, Shannon had a conversation with Tony and G, allegedly, before all this, where he offered the $10 million. So they probably told him, look, you might want to give us more because we have the tape, So he's jumping in front now saying they have a tape. They're going to show you about 30 seconds. He said, but I want them, listen closely, to show you the entire clip. He said, if they show you the whole thing, it's not going to be as bad. But he said, if they show you only the 30 seconds, I'm finna look wild. I'm finna look crazy. So I don't know what's in that 30 seconds. But
can you imagine how bad it has to be for him to preface?
That's what I'm saying. How
after
bad
releasing those text messages?
Have to be releasing the text messages.
I thought that was bad.
Man,
those messages were weird, guys.
Yeah, there's some odd stuff. It's so weird that we can't repeat them. Again, we can't repeat them. We can't show them to you. But there's some odd stuff.
So this tape must be
No, it must be absolutely wild, and I'm not.
I don't want to see it.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to see it. I want to see it a little bit. I want to see it a little bit because I want to know what he hyped it up so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's going on? What did you do?
He's 56.
What did you do, brody?
Papa, go sit on the porch somewhere.
Papa, oh Lord, man, nah. But yeah. So when that comes out, if that comes out, then we'll see how things turn. Because as things stand right now, it's most people saying, Shannon, you shouldn't have been on all that. Like, all that is weird. But it looks like most people are leaning towards Shannon's side just because of all the stuff Shannon said about G, his accuser, and because of Tony Busby's history, how Tony Busby lost that case against Jay-Z, how, Tony Busby, he may leave a bad taste in people's mouths in general, but honestly, I can't really speak too much on Tony Busby, and honestly, I can't speak too much on the case. If you ask my opinion, my answer is I don't know. I don't know if Shannon, I wasn't there. I don't know if Shannon did it. I don't know if he didn't do it. I think from the information we have now, again, I just don't know, and we're gonna get closer to an answer as time passes and as we get all the evidence. So I guess I'll just wait. Amanda, what do you think? What do you think just right off the bat? Do you think Shannon Sharpe did?
I mean, I always believe the victim first, just because what the statistics on like these cases actually going well for women is like non-existent. Yeah. So if I'm wrong, okay, great. But if I'm right, then because I can only imagine if I was in her position, if that happened to me, I would get it back in blood. There wouldn't even be no lawsuit, to be honest. So time will tell, sure, but I'm going to be on her side until proven otherwise. But besides that, 56, talking about my girlfriend is 19.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's a bit much.
It's like, a lot. It's a bit much.
At this point,
but,
go sit on a porch somewhere and leave these kids alone, Shannon. And please, I beg.
That's a good segue, because speaking of old heads, speaking of unks and them, that is just in people's lives. Let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about Donald Trump, but not so much Donald Trump. But we're going to talk about a policy. We're going to talk about student loans. Student loans, more specifically, the Trump administration asking students to pay them student loans back in blood. Now, this is a topic today because this actually has a lot more repercussions than. Boy, why am I stuttering, bro? What's going on? Slow down, Xevi. So the Department of Education under Donald Trump came out and said, "Look, we need them. We need that. We need all them student loans." And why this is important, because this actually has a lot more repercussions than people think, and we're going to get into that a little bit as we go on through the video. But how this whole thing started is student loans have been steadily rising. Student loans rise. Man, can you look up some statistics from student loans so we can get like a better picture? But
the country is $1.6 trillion in student loan debt across like over 40 million borrowers. And the cost of tuition has literally risen or doubled in the past 20 years.
Doubled. Insane. Yeah. So inflation hits everywhere. When people raise prices, they raise prices for real. So students can't really afford college like that in general, but there was a huge push. Everybody got to go to college. If you want to make a better life for yourself, go to college. So there was a huge wave of folks that went to college. People got sold a dream. You go to college, you have this big life for yourself. But thing is, college costs a lot. College costs a grip. So they said, okay, so we'll give you a loan, you'll pay it back later. Great. But if we think bare bones, education costing so much money when it was basically asked of you to go, in a sense, kind of leaves a bad taste in folks' mouths. So the government never really asked for that money, like for real. And there's always so many programs of like student loan forgiveness and all that.
Especially if you just get out of college and you haven't gotten a job yet.
Yeah, exactly. You haven't got a job. So they're like, okay, we told y'all, we basically asked y'all to go to college, make the economy boost that middle class, get people going to school, educate the masses. We basically kind of pushed that on y'all. Y'all went to school. Now y'all don't have a job, and now we asking you to pay all this. Okay, you can defer it. People be like, how long we could defer it? They be like, just whenever you get a job, bro, you good. Like, you good for it. That was like the vibe with student loans. Like, those were the vibes. I'm telling you from personal experience. When I was in the whole pre-med track, I was on the phone with them student loan folks. They said, you finna be a doctor? I said, yeah. They said, all right, you pay them student loans back later. I said, okay, but like, I'm not going to med school now, though. I'm trying to get a job. She said, you finna be a doctor? I said, yeah. She said, boy, when you make that big money, when you miss the big money, then come back to us. You good on it. You good on it for now. Those were the vibes of student loans. You just kind of, pay what you can when you can. So Biden comes in and he says, look, I got y'all. them student loans finna be wiped out. Everybody say, yeah. Supreme Court said, nah. Biden turned around and said, okay. They said, nah. Everybody said, so? Like, wait, Biden just said, that boy folded like a lawn chair. He said, they told me no.
He be talking to us like we're the president.
That's what I'm saying. He said, what y'all think I should do? They said, everybody said, please, can you go back and, do something? He said, all right, cool, I got y'all. He comes back, he says, okay, I got this new act for y'all. Basically, what we finna do is all those programs we was doing in the past, basically saying, nah, y'all good. We just gonna amplify that a little bit for everybody. Everybody just finna be good. You know what I'm saying? It's COVID time. People don't got cash like that. Some relief for that. You good. For
people who don't speak Xevi, basically he's trying to say that student loans were deferred for a long time, especially with the COVID pandemic, because people just didn't have... I'm trying to translate your gibberish.
No, I understand, but you over here studying, so how they gonna understand both of us? We're trying to do a podcast here.
Okay, well, put the captions on, guys. But basically, especially after the pandemic, people just didn't have the money, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
So student loans were deferred for a very long time. They were paused.
Yeah.
No interest was being risen, things like that.
Yeah, and Biden's basically amplifying that. He's doing that he was doing that for the COVID thing. He was doing that for a lot more things. He was basically saying for any reason you can think of to not pay that much in student loans, you can just say it and then we'll do it for you. So it wasn't just the COVID thing. It was anything. People who had disabilities, they got breaks with student loans. So he would basically take that disability break and spread it out to more people. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of how he got around failing to make it so nobody has to pay any student loans ever. And to be a little more specific, he said, I'm wiping away student loans, but he never fully meant wiping away student loans. That would actually have too many repercussions in the economy. And actually, it is important to dive into that a little bit, because what you got to know is when policies change, usually that has a ripple effect to other facets of daily life. If nobody has to pay any student loans, there is going to be a lot more money floating around, a lot more money for young people to spend. They're going to buy more stuff, and then that might make prices raise, right? Let's say there's a pair of jeans that young people love. They buy up all those jeans. Now the demand for those jeans goes up. You know what I'm saying? That's just a small example, but let's say there's a certain car, there's a Honda that young people buy. The demand will go higher. That inflates. Another car company be like, oh, them Hondas is raising their prices. Let's raise our prices now too. This is what economists were saying. They were saying that wiping away all student debt completely might have those massive ripple effects. But economists said if you wipe away a chunk, it's going to have negligible effects. So Biden went for the big chunk. Supreme Court said no. So he went for a smaller chunk. Okay, that's how things went. He was never going to wipe away things completely. He went for a smaller chunk. And it helped folks out. It helped people defer longer, and it was cool. Donald Trump's administration said, nah, let's flip it on its head. Everybody, we need that. Everybody said, okay, well, how much you need, how much we finna defer. Donald Trump said, we want it all. Every single cent, and we want it now. And to get more specific, the only students that have to pay back are students in default. But if you don't pay it back in general, you're going to be in default eventually. It's basically everyone. So if you don't pay back your student loans, no matter who you are, your credit score is going to tank. It's going to tank completely. And then you will be in default. And then they will garnish your wages. They're basically saying, if you don't pay it back voluntarily, we finna take that from you, whether it be tax returns, whether it be pay stubs. They're going to take a chunk. How much specifically are they taking?
15%.
15%. So 15% is massive. That's a lot of money. That's a huge chunk of people's paychecks. And people are saying that is absolutely it. That is going to ruin them. Because for those of you that don't know, the economy in the United States right now is not booming. So asking folks to pay that when they're already struggling is tough. College student, non-college student, don't matter. Job market is not it. People are living paycheck to paycheck. Asking for a 15% hit to that paycheck, too much. So then we have ripple effects in the economy the other way, right? Folks who went to college, their credit's tanking. So they can't buy a house, can't buy a car. Their wages get garnished. Oh, you don't have that extra 15% to go buy those jeans that you want to buy. The jean industry collapses. You feel what I'm saying? So these things have ripple effects. When you don't spend money like that, when folks don't spend money like that, it affects businesses, it affects the economy. So even though it will be hard for folks to afford basic necessities, that industry won't absolutely take a huge hit. Like basically what it is, they're saying the food will get bought. So economists are saying the food will get bought, but the other stuff will not get bought. Okay. The industries that will take a huge hit are the businesses where you can have that surplus of money to spend. You feel what I'm saying? And if those get hit again, business owners lose money, economic collapse, right? So that being said, what is the Trump administration thinking, right? Like well, their idea, it's very bare bones. It seems like, and this isn't just me saying this, I'm into politics, I research history and all that, but this is just kind of the general consensus. It seems like Trump's administration, let me say again, this isn't a Trump versus Biden, blah, blah, blah. No, none of that. But from a purely economic, political standpoint, it just seems like Trump's administration, it seems like things are so simply done. They're not thinking of the second page of repercussions. It's the same thing for Trump's trade war with China, why he's losing badly and it's affecting people and it's hitting people. You don't got to believe me if you don't want to about Trump losing the trade war, but do a little research and you'll figure out how badly he's losing that. And I guarantee you he's making a deal with China very, very, very soon. It's not a good look. He made a couple missteps along the way because he was thinking too simplistically. He's not thinking, what if this, what if that? He's thinking, I'm gonna get it done. Same thing with this. If students all pay back their student loans, then we finna get that trillion. How much do students owe in student loans?
1.6 trillion.
So 1.6 trillion. So he's thinking simply, I want 1.6 trillion. We need that. Students, get it on. Give us the money. But what if, the question lies out there, what if students can't pay that? So Trump says, then we finna take it from their paycheck. Stop playing. They finna give me that. So economists ask next, okay, so what if it hits the economy? Trump said, hey, well, we need that cash. You know what I'm saying? It's very simple. It's very simplistic. Now, all that stuff I just said sounds pretty bad towards the Trump administration. So they have to word it in a way to have people have their back. Okay, so I was very, very curious to see what they would say. So they come out with a press conference and they instantly go for that tried and true divide and conquer. Students not paying back what they owe is gonna affect the folks that didn't go to college because taxpayer dollars are going to be used to help those students out. They chose to go to college. You may not have went to college and you gotta have their back. People who already paid for their student loans. You already paid for your student loans and now you finna have to help them? You gonna sit there and take that? So instantly there's a divide and it's a really good divide. It's a very good strategy. But the thing about bailouts is some things need to be done for the greater good. It's why you bail out banks. It's why you bail out billionaires all the time.
Because let's really talk about it.
No, yeah, now I'm saying, hold on now. Just so they don't understand that little, because I said greater good. I said banks, billionaires. No, whose greater good is it? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to ask. Whose greater good is it? You know, so that's when you pick and choose the greater good. What were you saying though?
So in 2008, for the financial crisis, taxpayers paid $700 billion with a capital B in taxpayer dollars to bail out. Billion.
Ooh.
$700 billion to bail out Wall Street.
There you go.
And in 2020, taxpayers actually paid $30 billion to bail out the airline industry.
So I'm saying, like, I could see airline industry, because if airline industry collapses, you know, people aren't flying, right? But it also depends on how much of a bailout folks are getting, how much people are paying in tax dollars, how you phrase the whole situation. So they're saying students, nah, they don't need that bailout. They good. But again, all those economic repercussions, Trump's administration, that's when you start to realize it really is simply people's decisions. That's why administrations are so different. It's the little things in that. It's Trump basically saying, I disagree. I think everyone's going to be fine. I think if students do that, everyone's going to be fine. So then you refer again to the economists who actually sit there and study that. They say, no, Trump, it will not be fine. They say, no, Trump, that trade war is not going to work. You are going to lose. And Trump's decision, his administration's decision is, I disagree. I'm going to do it my way. And whatever happens from now on is whatever happens from now on. You feel what I'm saying? That's how it, let's say, affects your life. A year down the line, again, if you can't go out and buy those jeans and you say, dang, why can't I buy these jeans? It's because of these decisions. It's these little things. So again, garnishing a huge chunk of American people's wages under any circumstances is gonna be a big hit, especially if the economy is terrible.
Meanwhile, politicians are using my tax dollars to buy Armani suits. So if I miraculously had a choice to use my tax dollars for something, it would be to fund a free education.
Yeah, those little you said Armani?
Yes.
Oh, they stunned though. They stunned.
Anyways.
I might not be too mad if they get if it's my tax dollars. It depends on how clean the suit looks.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
All right. They're saying drip or brown.
I'm saying I would still be upset either way, but it would, scale down my upsetness a little bit if they looking clean, if they got it on for real. You know what I'm saying?
But if I have to run over a pothole and have 3 tires just for that man to walk around in Armani, that's crazy.
But I'm saying though, if he got that, if that politician, if I'm going to the governor and he spent my tax dollars with Versace, at least he's not coming to me with them, bummy suits and all that. You know what I'm saying? He's coming to me clean. Huh?
Drip or drown?
Drip or drown.
Well, I'd rather them drown, is all I'm saying.
Nah, I'm playing, bro. That might heat me up even more. Actually, now that I think about it. If Gavin Newsom, governor of California, came to me with Versace and was looking at me, he said, yeah, this that Versace. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about potholes. Literally. And he over here stunned a little bit.
Throwing change from his Armani pockets. Yeah,
no, he wilding if he does. Because his suits do really be nice, actually. And I'll tell you what, look, if any politician shakes my hand and they got Versace on their ting, I might slap them. I might do more than that. I'm not gonna lie, I might instantly stop because I know where you got that suit. I know how you pay for that suit. And when folks stun, like when they got that thing on, they kind of got that little air of confidence in it. Like they looking at you like, I got it on. You know what I'm saying? Like if ooh Lord.
Can you imagine clocking out of your shift,
turning
on your TV and seeing a politician on TV in Armani?
He said, nah, look at this Versace. Nope, slap. 5 fingers, boom, instantly.
I mean, you already know my stance. If some of you guys know me from my tech channel, you know that I believe that education should be free. I think it's a human right. I mean, in a lot of countries, education is free. Forward countries, education is free.
Depends on just where you want to spend those tax dollars, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I believe education is a human right, and I do feel like America is making it harder and harder for people to get an education.
Yeah, because people are going to be discouraged after this too, right?
Yeah, and I don't even blame them, honestly. Yeah. And I don't think it's fair.
Maybe that is the plan. Interestingly enough, that kind of does tie in with Donald Trump's whole tariff war as well. He wants more manufacturers. He wants a manufacturing economy, so people can build their own stuff. If people don't go to school, they might get a manufacturing job. Now, I say all this so you can learn a little bit more about your world. If you instantly disagree with the stuff I'm saying, then just do a little bit of research. Don't try not to say I like a certain person or I don't like a certain person in politics, so this is the decision I'm going to make. Because you will absolutely get things told to you from a biased perspective. I like to pride myself in not being biased, but you should do your own research if you might lean one way or another, and just whatever your opinion is your opinion, Going back a little bit, I want to speak briefly about Ronald Reagan because he ties into this whole thing. Ronald Reagan was the president of the United States, and he changed the game in the sense of, he said, man, screw the policies and all that. I'm going to just swag out. I'm going to make folk like me. He did it big. Boy, he was charismatic. He used to be an actor. He used to be a public speaker. He knew how to talk. He knew how to rizz up. Boy won almost every election he was a part of. In fact, I think he won every single election he was a part of, and he won them by like landslides. Boy had that charisma. He was the master at making policies that are bad for a majority of folks, but making people do them. You gotta respect it a little bit. Boy had that word candy. He basically told folks, look, we finna do something called trickle down economics. Everybody said, what's that, Reagan? He said, I'm finna tell y'all, listen. Basically, flat out, the rich get richer, the poor stay where they're at, and then you trust the rich people who are getting richer to fuel the economy. You trust those super rich people to not hold the money and spread it out. Trickle down, trickle the money down, trickle down economics. He was not hiding this. He said, rich get richer. Everybody else stays the same. And that's what he said flat out. Everybody said, what? People weren't stupid back then. They said, nah, that sounds like an absolutely terrible idea. Ronald Reagan said, but I'm Reagan though. Everybody said, that is Reagan though. That is Reagan. So most people just kind of went for it. It's basically like the Donald Trump thing. There are people fighting against it, saying, no, this is a terrible idea. But he can get enough people to have his back because of his personality to make things slide through. That has caused repercussions for decades because rich get richer and then they stay rich. They do not spend that money. They don't fuel the economy. They decide, you know what? I want to be the richest person on planet Earth, so I'm going to just keep it. You know, some rich folk, they don't buy that Gucci belt and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, Bill Gates and them.
Zero drip.
You know what I'm saying? Like Bill Gates and them, that boy was driving like a 1990 Honda in like 2000. He said, yeah, man, you know, you got to spend your money smart. Boy don't got one Gucci belt. Boy, you got a couple billion, buy the Gucci. Nobody finna heat up. Go ahead.
I guess to be fair, like it's kind of a quote unquote quiet luxury. So a lot of their clothes look very plain, but they're actually quite expensive.
Yeah, facts. But I'm saying like they don't spend that big money like they quote unquote supposed to. Like if it's quiet luxury and it's still affordable, listen closely to what I'm saying. So like if it's quiet luxury, but it's still affordable to everyday folks, they're not spending enough for how much they're getting. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the whole point of trickle-down economics is to basically have faith that 1% of people is going to spend enough for everyone to move an entire economy. So Bill Gates cannot buy a Honda Accord. Bill Gates has to buy 10 Honda Accords. He has to buy 5 Lamborghinis. He has to basically live a life of luxury. That's the plan, you know. Spend so much so that because you buy those 10 Honda Accords, and then that's 10 Honda Accord dealerships that can have more money. And then the managers of those 10 Honda Accord dealerships can go over and buy new clothes, you know what I'm saying, for the family. Then the clothes industry boosts up. But if you buy one Honda Accord, then that's only one Honda Accord manager that buys more clothes. That's how the economy basically works. So the plan was, again, to have super rich people spend a bunch. They said, nah, we just finna keep it. We finna just hold on. That was the plan the whole time. Reagan said, well, they said what they said. What you want me to do? Hit them?
Yes, actually, yes.
He probably could get away with that too. He could probably slap somebody in their face and be like, hey, I'm Reagan. And they gonna let it slide. But yeah, so that's basically still going on to this day. That's why the economy has felt repercussions since Ronald Reagan.
Everything really is Reagan's fault.
Yeah, and fun fact, Ronald Reagan's catchphrase was, make America great again. Hey, does that sound familiar? Boy, I'll tell you what, as a person who follows history and politics and all that, there is some wild stuff you find out that will just irritate you. Fun fact, Donald Trump basically copied his entire strategy from Ronald Reagan. Clever move, very clever move, because he basically said, look, it worked before, let's just do it again. It's mainly about the taxes. So people saw he did it right in front of people's faces. He says, hey, look, tax breaks for rich people, more taxes for middle class, and not too many taxes for poorer folks. Hey, because a majority of America is poor. It's just what it is. The middle class has to take the brunt of that to help everybody survive, right? So if a majority of Americans are poor and taxes don't hit them too hard, then it's not affecting me. I'm not going to be too worried about it. You see, if Donald Trump increases taxes for everyone, then he's going to have a riot on his hands. So he says, look, just the middle class of people increase taxes, rich people reduce taxes, poorer folks keep their taxes the same. Nobody finna complain. Remember, divide and conquer. You have to have some people on your side to get things going. But it kind of reminds me of that quote. What's that one quote, man? It go like, I'm gonna butcher this, but you got to correct me. How does it say? It says, they came for the folks and it went bad for them. They came for the other folks. It went bad for them too. They came for me and nobody was there to help me. What's the quote? How did the quote go? It sounds something like that, right?
So the actual quote is, wait, I'm actually perplexed at how much you got wrong. So the actual quote is, first they came for the socialists and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me and there was no one left to speak for me.
Okay, man, why they gotta say all them words and all that? I was pretty close. I like mine better. They came for the folks, you know what I'm saying?
Well, this was actually, first of all, your ignorance is deafening. But this was actually from a German pastor named Martin Niemöller. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I probably didn't. But it was after World War II in the 1940s when, you know, Germany was on one. And he talked about his own early complicity in that,
you know, when they did what they was doing in 1940 Germany, right?
Yeah, when they were doing the most. But the pastor talks about his eventual change of heart. So,
and basically how it links here is divide and conquer, right? So if you ask students to garnish their wages to pay that in student loans and you say, hey, it don't affect me. But if the whole economy collapses and then it actually does affect you, nobody's going to have your back because nobody's there to have your back. 1940s Germany, very similar. It's a tale as old as time. That dude in 1940s Germany with that one mustache basically told folks, look, and it's hard to get people to just go against what's best for themselves. So you got to start off slow. He basically
going against their humanity.
Yeah,
because
exactly. Humans are inherently good, I think. So it's hard to get people to go against themselves and go against other people. Exactly. So you got to tell them, look, for a little tiny history lesson, after World War I, Germany was not doing too hot. So dude with the mustache said, this is not your fault that you're not doing too hot. You know whose fault it is? You find somebody to blame. Trade unionists, right? You say socialists. It's their fault. You got to go against them. Now take another step. Jewish people, because historically Jewish people had that cash, had that guap. So dude with the mustache saying, now you got to go against Jewish people. Look at them. They're rich. You're not rich. None of this is your fault. They're taking all the money for themselves. So then you get people against Jewish people, but then it goes even deeper. You don't got blonde hair and blue eyes. Now I'm against you. It keeps going to a point, man. It might get to a singular point. You under 6 foot, you done. You feel what I'm saying? So if you don't have people's back early, they won't have your back later because they won't be there.
A lot of it is just class divide, honestly.
Class division. It's
we're so close to class consciousness.
Yeah, 99% of folks, y'all all fight it out. And it doesn't just stop at Germany in the 1940s. I'm telling you, it goes to black people. It goes to look at those black people, you poor whites. They're the ones that are taking your jobs. It's not your rich boss. It's not the 1%. It's the black people. So be racist to them. It's the Mexican people. They're the ones that are taking your job. You don't have a job because of China. It's not the richest fault. It's all that you fight amongst each other, and then the 1% lives peacefully. Anyway,
I think the ironic part about all of this is that a lot of people will think that Trump's tax breaks will work for them. Meanwhile, they make $60,000 a year. He's not talking about you. The tax breaks are for the rich.
Yeah, when they say rich, whoo, yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know if the average person understands like what rich is. I'm talking about like $100 million. Like,
yeah, we're talking about
like we're not talking about 6-figure salaries. Those are not who fit into the tax breaks for the rich category. We're talking about Trump's friends.
Ultra rich, like to the point where they pay $0 in taxes.
Yes, it's to the point that I pay more taxes than them. Like, that's bizarre to me. And it reminds me of that one Turkish proverb where it says, When the axe came into the forest, the tree said, "The handle is one of us." People are just going against their own interests.
Yeah, it's education. And that's the whole point of this podcast. It's we need to be educated. We can have fun and podcasts over and over. We can have fun. But sometimes we gotta talk about real stuff.
We gotta lock in.
We gotta lock in. We gotta talk about where life is going and all that, so folks can be educated a little bit, you know.
If you're a part of the 99%, we gotta lock in, guys.
And you are a part of the 99%. If you're not part of the 99%, hey, slide some cash over. Stop playing with me. If you watching this and you part of that 90, matter of fact, 90 and up, hit my line. You know where my email is at. 90 and up. Come on, stop hoarding, bro. Stop hoarding. Give every million follower $1. Yeah, spend that milli.
Not $1.
Yeah, that's nothing for broski. If they part of the 90 and up, $1 million, boy, that's a Tuesday.
Make it 100. I got y'all, chat. At this point, they're not gonna miss it. I can use $100 in my pocket.
Wait, how you do math? What's 100 times $1 million? 100 million?
Yes.
Oh, I got it. Okay, cool. Ooh. So yeah, $100 million. Actually, that might be a hit. If he gives everybody $100, that might be a little hit. Hey, my 99% subscriber, my 90 and up subscriber, you don't gotta do 100. You know, hey, like 50. Get everybody $50. We be good. You know. Yeah. No, we do 50. Anyway. That being said, we can stop there. We can stop there when it comes to ranting about the economy and all that. We can stop there.
Was this episode kind of a downer? I felt like it was a little bleak this time.
Nah, like I said, I feel like folks just need we need to be serious sometimes. It could seem like a downer, but sometimes life can be a little bit of a downer. But that don't mean things can not get picked back up. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when more people learn about this stuff, I feel like if administrations keep making mistakes, keep not doing right by folks, eventually folks are going to turn around and be like, you know what, enough is enough. I have that faith. So I think in the future, things will just be all right. In fact, I think things will always be all right. I feel like that's how the world works. I mean, you can call it idealistic, but it's how I like to see the world. Regardless, I want to say thank you again for that, Millie, man. Thank you again for the 1 million of y'all that subscribed, that took the time to click that button. Thanks for betting on us, man. Thanks for betting on us. And many more great videos, many more great content to come. We finna start live streaming real soon. And we're probably gonna do a live stream celebration. If you made it to this far, then you get insider info. We're doing a live stream. Matter of fact, when am I releasing this? Ooh, we might have already done the live stream celebration. So if you missed that, then hey man, that's tough. Anyway. Y'all have a good one. Y'all have a good rest of your week. We'll see you next week. See ya.